What's up, YouTube? Brett Hoover from Rants here. Alright, so this is going to be our Venom, Let There Be Carnage review here on Rants. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I do think that context needs to be brought in from the first Venom movie to the second one, because I think that's where a lot of people are having problems when it comes to this movie. Is they're like, oh, it feels so different than the first one, and it does. It really does. The first one was more serious, more action packed, and it had more, I don't know, story to it in a lot of ways. This one was very neatly packed into a comical way. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm not saying that in a bad way, because I thought the comedy hit the mark all throughout. Really impressed by Tom Hardy in this movie. When him and Carnage, the back and forth between the two, made this movie for me. But as far as if you want powerful story, you're not going to get it from this movie. You're just not going to get it. It doesn't pack that punch. It doesn't pack that emotional punch, I guess I should say. But overall, when it comes down to it, for what it is, unless you're comparing it between the two, I think they almost should be standalone in that regard, because they are completely different kinds of movies, basically. Now, I do think it was kind of interesting, where they basically do a Venom, with Brock, origin story in the first one, and they made it a little bit more serious. But with the Cletus and Carnage one, origin story, they really made it more comical. I mean, you would think for like a serial killer and something as brutal as what Carnage is, you would expect more like bloodlust than what there was. There was some scenes where, yes, we got full Carnage, but it was few and far between in a lot of different ways. I felt like this film had a hard time kind of figuring out what what this movie was really supposed to be about. And I say that because would this film have been better if you would have had a Carnage and Brock relationship kind of problems? Would that movie have been good? Just with that, maybe had like some kind of lesser villain kind of be in the backdrop. Would it have been better in that way? Or should it have been Carnage versus Venom all throughout? I kind of feel like maybe Carnage was the wrong villain to bring out in this movie. I really do. Simply because he's a more notable villain. He is somebody that feel like if you are going to make a movie about Carnage, you need to let that character take up most of the screen time. That did not happen. It kind of felt like the director was trying to go in between, the Brock Venom story, and then the Venom versus Carnage story. And I feel like that kind of messed up the movie a little bit in my eyes. But overall, I mean, I don't have very many complaints about this movie. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I really, truly did. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cold I've been dealing with these last couple of days. All right, one big problem I actually did have with it, and that was bringing Shriek into it. Shriek was a waste of a character to me. She really was. We didn't need her. We didn't need her. We already had Cletus. We didn't in Carnage. We didn't need Shriek in the mix with that. I think this story would have been loads and loads better if they would have used less screen time with her and Cletus and more screen time with Cletus and Brock in a lot of ways, or Carnage and Venom, basically. I feel like that would have been a better use of time. So that's like probably the thing that catches my attention the most when it comes to this movie, as something that I absolutely just did not like about it. But as far as another aspect to it, and it was just a minor one, I thought the Eddie Brock and Ann situation missed the mark with me. Really did. I just didn't like Anne in this movie. I just did not like her at all in this movie. I felt like she was another one of those kind of like streak, a waste of a character in a lot of ways. When she got on screen, the her and Tom Hardy just did not have good chemistry in this movie. I felt like she come off as very stiff. She come off as uncaring. I'm not going to go into like full spoilers when it comes to this, but there's that ending scene, last time he sees her in the movie that I felt like just completely and totally just bombed. Like it was just bad. It was just really, really bad. I felt like that story, if they're going to really put that story in there, really push it more to the forefront in a lot of ways. I feel like, when it come to this movie, and I really mean it, this movie needed a lesser villain. It needed more Brock and Venom storyline, and then Brock and Ann storyline, and that could have just been the entire movie, and that would have been fine if it was the entire movie, and had like a lesser villain in the background. That would have been a better movie than what we saw on screen. I really think it would have been. I think the chemistry between Venom and Brock was amazing in it. I felt like the chemistry between Anne and Brock, though, was just terrible. But if you would have given it more time to reveal itself, maybe it would have been better in my eyes. But as far as the comedy, I've heard a lot of people say that the comedy was bad in it, or too much of it, I guess you could say. I don't feel that way. I feel like the comedy was done just right. I felt like every time there was a comical moment, it really hit the mark. There was no part in that I was like, oh man, they're pulling a Black Widow where it should have been a powerful moment, and instead they made it into a comical moment. There was none of those moments, so I was happy with that. So as far as the comedy is concerned, I would give it a 10 out of 10 when it comes to comedy is concerned. Maybe as far as the Cletus Brock screen time that they had, I don't want to say relationship. The scenes between the two kind of didn't make any sense. Like I didn't understand what Cletus's fascination with Brock was so much, and vice versa to a certain extent. They tried to make it where they're just like tied together, and that Cletus wanted this friendship with Brock in a lot of ways. It didn't hit the mark with me. I felt like that just did not work. I just felt like it just didn't work. Wasn't enough time for them to really build up that camaraderie that would have made me interested in the back and forth between these two characters. I thought basically their time on screen together, I felt like, Woody Harrelson and Tom Hardy's time on screen together without, Venom and Carnage, I kind of felt like when those two were together, there was no chemistry between the two. Their story really didn't make any sense, and it didn't really hit home with me in any sadness or any kind of feeling bad for one character or hating one character. There was really none of that. I felt like another thing they could have done, which I don't know if they could have got away with, I felt like it should have been bloodier. I feel like if you're going to have a character named Carnage, you better give us like some like full carnage. I'm not saying you're gonna have blood spattering all over everywhere and every scene. I'm just saying we gotta see some really, really ruthless stuff. Like with Carnage, you expect the worst out of the worst. He is like he's Venom on steroids. Basically, he's crazy. He's wanting a bloodbath. We didn't get that. We didn't get that. There was some really cool scenes where he was, doing his thing, but it wasn't enough of it. It could have been There could have been more when it come to that. Um, and last but not least, I know everybody's talking about it now. Is there going to be in Venom 3? Is there going to be Venom versus Spider-Man? Um, I was really kind of hoping they weren't going to go down that route. I really was. I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know if I want Venom to be the anti-hero. I don't know if that's the right way to push this character. I was kind of hoping that they would leave Venom in his own universe, but I get it. You know, Venom is distinctly, a adversary of Spider-Man, so I completely and totally get it. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Besides him, you know, uh, attaching to Peter Parker and getting, that cool Spider-Man black suit. Besides that, I don't really feel like they should have gone down that route. But hey, you know what? I get it. They want to tie in these franchises together. I don't know if this is going to be like some kind of multiverse kind of like thing that's going to go on, or what is going to happen with that. But let's just put it this way. I'm least excited for Venom 3 than I was Venom 2. And it's not because of what I saw in Venom 2. It's just I don't like the tie-in with Spider-Man. That's the reason why I'm less excited about this. But overall, when it comes to this movie, though, I would actually give it about a 7 out of 10. Thought the comedy was on point. I thought Tom Hardy did in Venom were fabulous together. I wish that the Brock Ian relationship would have been better, and I wish that the Woody Harrelson Tom Hardy relationship or kind of scenes in between would have been better. But besides that, I thought it was great. I really thought it was great. It kind of surprised me that they took a complete different turn when you had the Carnage origin story versus the Venom origin story. It was so different tonally when it come to it, that they really hit on the comedy aspect in this movie, and it worked. For overall, it really worked as a standalone movie. But I also understand why people are like, whoa, too much comedy in this. Like, should have had a more serious note to it. And you know what? I get it. I wish this movie would have been bloodier. I wish that it would have had a lot more carnage in it than what it was. It was, if I really had to say what the director was trying to go for on this was the Brock Venom relationship. Like, that's really what it was about. The two of them bickering, and that's where they were at their best. But that's not really what you would want in a Venom versus Carnage situation. And I felt like that's where this movie was lacking in that regard. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I tell you, this is a movie that I've been looking forward to for a while. It did not disappoint. In fact, I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed the second one more the first go around than I did the first one the first time that I saw it. I think those two movies in itself, as standalones, are great. Both of them are great. Some of my favorite superhero or anti-superhero films out there. But that's my opinion, guys. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know. And as always, thanks for watching. Y'all take care.